Alrighty. Credits. I did look it up, and I got the neutral ending. Apparently there are 3 endings. The bad ending is if you don't give the maiden ring to anybody. The neutral ending is if you don't visit all the shrines or you kill him. And the good end, or the true ending, is if you do all the stuff that I did, you know, give the ring, visit all the shrines, and emancipate his soul. And there's another fight with Baltro if you do the true ending, but you know, oh well. And maybe, you know, some other scenes and stuff like that after that. But yeah. Let's get my thoughts ready. Just want to make sure that... Okay. Just want to make sure. You still think it's it's right to do the deed, even at the sacrifice of your dear mother? This plague must be beat. Oh. I might watch the other ending on YouTube, even though I have the capacity to do it right myself and the actual time today to do it. You know, maybe there's maybe I'll try it. Maybe. But yeah, Unicorn Overlord has been conquered. Woot woot. This was a viewer-requested game by Happy Chocobro, so thank you very much for the recommendation. And... okay, I was like, and something else is going to happen. For my first impressions of the game, which were based off of day 1 and 2, I'm extremely happy with what I've experienced so far. Combat is fun and interesting, character interactions are intriguing, and the game wasted no time in letting me actually play. Oh, there's... oh, I'll just let that go, you know. I ain't gonna read that. Not having control of who I attack is disappointing, but there is a bit of intrigue and excitement in manipulating unit AI to serve my formations. The customization options also seem very nice. And for my overall thoughts on the game, I enjoyed this one a lot. This was super fun to play. I enjoyed an incredible amount of aspects in this game that just made it a ton of fun. And, you know, like from the gameplay to the world map traversal to like liberating outposts and things like that, I think everything was formulated quite well, and it just kind of fit into place perfectly for me. So I enjoyed it a lot. Very, very fun. For the story, was it satisfying? You know, sure. I'm gonna say it's satisfying. You know, sure. Queen Elenia basically dies again, but you know she was already dead, so you know they'll get over it. I guess we don't kill Baltro in the ending that I got, and that is a loose end, but oh well. Did it feel complete? You know, other than the Baltro loose end, I will say it does. How is the pacing? I think the pacing is absolutely terrible. The something I'll probably get into in this section, but this game basically kind of sort of effectively has no story in the sense of like the bulk of this game is going from place to place and handling the various problems that exist in those places, and you don't really get like internal character struggles and overcoming challenges of being in a war, and like the narrative development of I want to retake my homeland, but I have to do various things to do so. I have to make sacrifices and all other stuff. It's like at the very beginning, you know, we decide that we're gonna take back our homeland, and that's effectively the entire story. It's not as fleshed out or as nice as I would have liked it. It's very bare bones for me, and that was definitely, without a doubt, the most disappointing aspect of this game. Because when I play a strategy game like this, I don't necessarily want to say I expect there to be like political intrigue and things like that, but I expect there to be like development of certain characters and development of certain nations and how those nations interact and how like all of that comes together for some sort of culmination. And this game just doesn't have any of that. There's tactics games that I've played in the past that spend a lot of time with like political setups and various character deeds and things like that. And those situations just, I think, resonate with me more because you get to actually like see these characters make these decisions, and they live with those decisions. And I don't feel like the journey that Elaine goes on is a journey of war. It feels like a journey of like JRPG liberation or something like that. So very, very disappointed in the story. For my thoughts on the story, less structured than I would hope for. Go around and liberate the world is a lot less exciting than participating in political machinations and strategic troop movements. Yeah, this was this was a big thing for me. Is I would have loved for Elaine to be put in scenarios where he might have to sacrifice people in his army to accomplish the things that he wants to do, and be put in situations where he might rely on unsavory figures and characters to accomplish the things that he needs to in order to get the job done. Nobody in this game betrays Elaine, and there were plenty of people that had every opportunity to do so. So like, that's disappointing. Like, it doesn't feel like a war story to me, I guess, is because there's no grit to it. it's very like fantasy, um like happy fantasy kind of thing. Aramis said that he would leave the Liberation Army if Virginia told Elaine. He's still with the crew. He is still with the crew. 1000%. I don't know if that was a plot hole that they dropped or what, but maybe I had to choose the other option and he would take the throne and I would get the other prince or whatever. With only one more region to go before they are all done, I definitely feel the story is effectively non-existent. There are individual narratives for each region that vary in interesting details, but there's a lack of cohesiveness. Unicorn Overlord feels more like a sandbox strategy game where the main draw is the mechanics and gameplay. The characters and story take a back seat due to the absence of continuous plot developments and relevance to the main issue. I would have preferred an approach where the game focuses on Elaine coming to age as a ruler, military leader, and politician. I want to see him make hard choices and deal with impossible situations that can be a part of war. This game offers none of that. And I still agree with those statements. Finally, some criticism for this poor man's JRPG. This game is a tedium simulator in every way imaginable, especially combat. You can rest in that. Maybe you should play it on a lower difficulty, because there was absolutely no tedium whatsoever on my side. It was smooth sailing all the way through. Virginia kind of betrayed you and Joseph for running to get revenge before being caught. That doesn't count. Or like that doesn't qualify for me. This isn't a war story, this is a JRPG. You know, that probably fits here too. For gameplay mechanics and design, what gameplay elements stand out? I like the gameplay loop. I think it's fun to run around collecting resources, avoiding or finding enemies, discovering landmarks and side quests, as well as finding new optional towns and locations to unlock. I really like that you can fast travel so freely and even see information about the places I'm traveling to before I go there. I like the overall freedom of being able to go almost wherever I want and tackle things in an order I want to. I also like that I can come back to things that I might have left behind for whichever reason. In Drakenhold, as my second location, I'm nearly level 20 with 4-person units, and almost all of my main 4 squads have been upgraded. I have approximately 3 to 4 locations to visit, so I'm curious how the honor spending will keep up, as well as offer more variety. Feels like I've done, air quotes, everything after nearly completing location 2. This is another criticism I have of this game as well, is I don't even know if I mentioned this, but I'm just gonna mention this here as well. This game, the progression of this game doesn't feel as thought out as I would have thought it out, I guess. And it's a really, really weird combination here, because at the end of the game, I have 1,000+ honor, and you know, I have multiple units that I could use that on and spend it, and I probably, you know, have very little if I did that. But the necessity to do that is non-existent for my playthrough. And the other issue is that in order to get to where I was, I had to do almost everything. 85 to 90% of the game, maybe even higher than that, I had to do all the optional stuff to get my units to even match the level of the final mission. And even then, the final boss, Galerius, is level 45, which I think was higher than any of my units. So this to me presents a schism in what I feel this game needed to accomplish, because from my perspective, I see a main story that I can follow, and then I see all this optional stuff surrounding it. But in order to actually take on all the challenges necessary, I have to do all the optional stuff, which means that the optional stuff isn't optional. It means it's required. So now I'm doing required side quests in order to get to the level that I need to be at so that I can beat the game. And that to me is a very big problem. But the other issue is that I don't think there are, let me say that a different way. I think there needs to be another tier of spending in this game that's not related to what has already been provided. There's the honor spending for getting unit size up and ranking up people who haven't been ranked up or whatever. They move up to the next class. I feel like there needed to be another spender there. Maybe they got another class. Maybe you can swap their classes or something. I don't know. But I got rank S, in my opinion, pretty darn quickly in terms of renown. And I think there's just something missing there, is basically how I would describe it. And then I think they needed to frame the game differently and make it so that all of these optional things that are happening in a region were instead weaved into the overarching narrative of the game, as well as an internal narrative of that region. And they failed to do that, in my eyes. Where was I? The ability to skip a bunch of things from combat to dialogue to scenes is great. I greatly appreciated this. For a game that I thought was going to be maybe not narratively focused, but have a lot of dialogue and conversations and things like that, I would not expect that. But this game ended up being not necessarily that. So it's still great that it's in it. Based on how levels are laid out, it feels like the game wants, or perhaps even needs you to do almost everything to be ready for the final fight. This misses the mark for me because I want to do them because I enjoy doing them. Not find myself in a position where I need to go back and do things I purposefully skipped. So I talked about that already. I was initially very impressed at the amount of unit types, but as the game progressed, there seemed to be a lot of overlap. Instead of every class being unique, some classes would combine aspects of others. For example, Bertrand is a bear tank, but he's just a hammer version of Hodrick, the super shield knight guy. The angel classes also seem to be variants as well, which is disappointing. I definitely wish that the class variety was better. I can fully understand why these like hybrid classes exist, and the thought of some hybrid classes really intrigues me, but I don't think they did any of the 2 class combinations or 3 class combinations that I would have been very interested in. Likely for obvious reasons because they're overpowered, but all the same. Super wish just like every region just had their own unique classes that did not feel reminiscent of other classes. Is there really only one mage in the game outside of generics, or did I just go down a different path and missed out? It's crazy to me that I got access to a ton of healers, archers, cavalry, hammer dudes, and whatever else, but I only get 1 Yana, 1 Albin, and 1 Hilda. This was a struggle for me. I feel like I got like 4 or 5 clerics, 3 archers, like 3 elven archers, like 4 or 5 cavalry, 3 to 5 hammer people. There's just so many of those people. And I've had 1 mage the entire game. I killed Ak or Ouch? Probably. He probably deserved it. But yeah, there's a huge lack of mages, in like actual character mages. And Joseph didn't die. What is this? Can you believe it? The game starts us off with a level 20 dude that just mows down everything, and you don't lose him ever. That's crazy. Absolutely insane. Adrenaline says, the whole game is tedium when you have no decisions to make worth a darn. The reason why combat was tedium in this game, first and foremost, is it forces you to arrange your formation in every encounter to eke the best roll per fight. That is a very fair criticism. Again, I didn't have to do that very often for my difficulty, but I can very much see that being a thing for higher difficulties. This was actually something that I thought of a while back and then forgot and just reminded myself of it. I think this game would benefit from each character having I don't know how to describe it correctly, but there are some games out there that have like these like data sets, I'm gonna call them, and you can swap between them, and they would do different things based off of which one you were doing. So like, for example, if I had Elaine in battle, maybe his first data set is as I used him, which is a backline person who is protecting the frontline people and then running up and just murdering things. But maybe the second data set is he's actually using the +20 initiative start of battle ability, and maybe his guarding is disabled or something like that. And maybe his third data set is he has a different shield, and instead of attacking, he's only guarding and like protecting people with his active action points and his passive points, you know? Stuff like that, I think would speed up the process a little bit, because having to go in and micromanage everything and then go back out to see if it makes a difference, and then if it doesn't make a difference, then you go back in and start tweaking things again. I definitely see how that's annoying to do on a very regular basis. It's incredibly open-ended. It gives you 20 odd missions to pick at your disposal at every turn with no real connection between them. Do you know why my experience was often appearing as red? Because I was over level, but my criticism here is that I was over level, and then I go into the final fight and I'm of level. So it's like, yeah, there's an issue there. I got rank S in every fight because it was normal. I don't know anything about ranks. I don't think I paid attention to that. Another thing more personal for you, like how 13 Sentinels gives you a team of 5 to work with, a number you can get your head around. You were never going to make 10 teams. You just don't like managing that much time. I agree with that. I agree with that in the sense of there's not a necessity in this game from my playthrough to make 10 teams. I had 4 teams that all did different things, and that was good enough for me. I had a 5th team to basically guard the base in case there was ever any problems, and that's basically all I did. I could probably even condense 1 or 2 of those teams down and like swap things around, because there were definitely characters that didn't pull their weight. Like Albin did not pull his weight, but the only reason that I kept him around is because he would restore stamina, and that was very important if I was going to have 1 or 2 units just clearing out the entire battlefield. And yes, you look in strong contrast between this and 13 Sentinels, because your overarching feeling is you wish Vanillaware focused on making a 13 Sentinel sequel, their previous game, a masterpiece, and not this. Oh, I haven't played 13 Sentinels, but I imagine I will not enjoy it as much as this one. But who knows? You never know. For combat, despite wishing I could control my units directly, I actually greatly enjoy the combat system. It's fun, engaging in the puzzle-like elements of figuring out what squad is best for a given situation or fight. I really like the customization options available for units as well. From changing equipment to skill ordering to skill priorities to individual unit placement, the permutations are massive, and it's very fun, a very fun system to tinker with. I think the Valor system is cool and adds another layer of unit construction, and while I can understand why they don't let you use Valor points when already engaged in a fight, I do wish it was something I could do. That said, I do like that I can still swap around positioning when engaged with an enemy. It lets me squeak out every possible victory outcome I may desire. I also wish that the time limit was handled differently. Its impact on normal difficulty is basically non existent, and I would like to see a different implementation. If infinitely farming is the concern, cap experience from resources or make them give no experience at all. If infinitely healing is a concern, put limits on how many times a unit can heal in battle. And I also do get that a time limit accomplishes both of those things that I suggested without additional complexity, but just doesn't feel important in my difficulty is the thing that I'm just trying to convey there. The last thing I have for combat, I don't understand how or why ranged and magical assists can negatively change the outcome of a battle in such a drastic way, such as causing me to take more damage. I know there are some scenarios where characters will do different things when they're at lower HP, but like there are just some situations where I will kill them if I don't use an assist. But if I do use an assist, then they kill me. And like when I kill them, I take 0 damage. But when I use an assist, they kill me. It's like, what? It makes no sense to me. And I probably wasn't that harshly on the spectrum for my playthrough, but like it might as well have been, because it just baffles my mind. It was one of the most consistent things to happen to me that I just couldn't understand at all. Like, why are assist attacks affecting combat in this way? Super strange. This game doesn't have any dungeons, so nothing to say there. For cardinal sins, removing a key party member without sufficient replacement. Had a few party members leave and come back. The suckers. For miscellaneous sound and music, I found myself enjoying the music from what I can remember. Certainly something that I'll listen to the soundtrack for. For voice acting, I liked the voice acting. I think everybody did a pretty good job. Make sure nobody's going to talk. All right, well. Thus, Melisandre became Elaine's queen and devoted herself to serving his reign. Her discerning eye for political matters earned her a reputation as Elaine's right hand, and though their love began at first sight, it only grew stronger in the passing years. And Elaine took on many consorts because she agreed to that. Oh, man. For graphics, the visuals are really nice. The art, sprites, and environments all look great. The user interface is also quite nice and is actually quite easy to navigate despite all of the complexities. The only criticism I have is that selecting characters in a unit can feel counterintuitive because they are listed as a diagonal, and moving between them doesn't easily correlate. I think the animations are on the simplistic side, in the sense that I wish more was done with them. That said, there's way more in-between frames than old school 16-bit sprites and such, so it still looks really good. I think the only thing that stands out to me is I can tell that there's a squash and stretch of the sprites that doesn't look as nice. Yeah, like I like the art style of this. I think the art looks good. Um, I I would be very curious to see this game done in um in like with 3D models, but with a similar texture work, and just have the animation of the 3D models, because I think the there's there's a style being done here with the 2D animations, and it it doesn't quite do the things that I would hope for it, even though it is more than like other sprite work games and things like that. It just it the way it looks like it should be 3D, but they just don't do it that way. And I yeah, I think I think this game will look great with 3D models with the same type of texturing. But who knows? Maybe they tried that and they're like, "This looks terrible." So, what do I know? For other, if it's not a sequel, is the game worth recommending? I would absolutely recommend this game. Um, there's there's a lot to do in this game. I think the gameplay loop is super fun. I think the customization is super fun, and it's basically like a mindless strategy game in a lot of senses, where there's story there, but honestly, you could skip every cutscene and you're not really missing out on anything. So just have at it, fight a bunch of battles and do stuff. If the developer is watching, I don't think I have too much more to say uh, beyond what I have, but what I can say is that I'm definitely a gameplay first sort of person, so one of the uh that's basically the primary reason why I enjoyed this game so much, is because a lot of the systems felt like they worked with one another, and I enjoyed that aspect a lot. Um, I do think that this game needs to, like, if there was ever going to be a Unicorn Overlord 2, my my biggest wants are a cohesive story that is brought up multiple times and engaged in multiple times throughout the game, and actually have characters doing things that are consistent with the actual actions that are required for that. Um, is is I guess a very convoluted way of saying, if you're gonna do a story about war, it can't be power of friendship war in for me to find it very enjoyable. Like, there has to be sacrifice, there has to be loss, there has to be um, painful decisions and things like that. Um, I just want I, ju- I think of a game like this, or I think of Unicorn Overlord, and just imagine Elaine kind of being thrusted into this, I'm the leader of a liberation, and just being kind of broken down by all the things that are involved with it, seeing his friends and people he cares about dying on the battlefield, and coming to terms with these things, and eventually having a support structure that is actually like uplifting him and telling him all the right things, and maybe some people telling him the wrong things because they're trying to manipulate him and whatnot, and struggling with friends that are actually his enemies, and struggling with, you know, sending his friends into a fight that he knows they're going to lose, but he has to do that so that he could actually win the bigger battle. I want to see those things. I want to see a I don't want to necessarily say like a realistic interpretation, but um I just don't want the typical JRPG smorgasbord, I guess. Power, friendship, power of the hearts, and all that other stuff. And I feel like the story approach in this game uh, leaned more on not having that grit and grunge, all that other stuff. Which, if you're doing war, I feel like you have to have that. And so it just feels weird to play Unicorn Overlord and just, like, yay, we beat the mission, everybody's alive, hooray! Like even the ending there. Um, Elaine kills his mom, and he's like, "No, not again." And then the the events that unfold happen, and then we don't get anything of him mourning his mom again, or any internal struggle or thoughts of why doing such an action is is like such a horrible experience for him. Um, like obviously, like for me, when I think of that situation, it's like, okay, his mom is already dead, and now she's just dead again. Like, okay, like uh, those feelings are not going to resurface. But if it's important that her son kills her, then like do something with that. But yeah. And do I want a sequel? Absolutely. I will play the sequel. Um, this was the before I altered the viewer request system, so that this wouldn't happen. I actually had this game on my radar, and um, I heard people were, enjoying it and whatnot. So I was like, oh, I think I'll probably get Unicorn Overlord. And then this game was put on the review request. And at that time, whenever a game that was on my radar was put onto the review request, I removed it from my radar list, uh, which meant that it took like, this game came out early this year, I believe. And this game came out like March or something. Let me just check. Um, Came out, yeah, March 24th, and we are in November 15th right now, and that's when I got a chance to play it because I let the viewer request system take it over. Uh, thankfully I've changed the rules since then, but uh, here we are. So definitely would like to see a Unicorn Overlord 2, with a stronger emphasis on story and war and grit and all other stuff. That's going to be the end of my thoughts. I'll go ahead and go through this stuff. And um, and I'll read chat, and you know, if the chat stuff is relevant, then I'll include it in the end of the video, just in case.